We're about 25 games into the season. Let's do our All-Stars.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
First things first, before we get into my All-Stars, I feel weird not wearing a watch. Subscribe. Make sure you scroll down, subscribe, like, comment, all of that stuff. Let's get into the video. It's been pretty bad recently. I think the last good one was 2022 was alright. That was the one where LeBron scored the game winner in Cleveland, where was it Kenny the Jet Smith was saying, "Cleveland, this one's for you," when he was shooting it. And yeah, good end to the game. The rest of the game was kind of mid. The last good actual full game was the 2020 All-Star game, and then since then the games themselves have been pretty bad. But I know Adam Silver is changing the format this year, and he's going to do, he said, 3 teams of 8, so 24, the same as before, 24 players on the team, but it's 24 All-Stars in general, but he's going to have 3 teams of 8 and the team that wins the Rising Stars game. So I mean, I guess he's trying to try something new. I don't know if that's going to help make the players like it, and I don't know how it works now in terms of picking your All-Stars, but I will say I have just picked my All-Stars in general based on what we've done historically, East versus West, you know the usual spiel. Forgetting all the new All-Star malarkey, forgetting the Caitlin Clark and Klay Thompson versus Klay Thompson, Steph Curry versus Sabrina, forgetting all of that. Let's just talk about our All-Stars. So first things first, let's start with the West. I'm gonna do it like we usually do it. 2 guards, 3 forwards now, because we do the 3 forward thing now. 3, not 4. 3 forwards rather than 2 forwards and a center, because there's not a lot of good centers in the league. Just reminding you, there's not a lot of good centers in the league right now, and it's not a great place to be a center right now, especially in one conference, definitely in one of the conferences. So let's start with the West. But bear in mind, this is not in order. I just want to clarify, not in order at all. So in the Western Conference, you have at the guard position Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is part of the 1-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. He's averaging 30 points, 5.5 rebounds, I think 6.5 assists, something like that. He's putting in really good performances, carrying his team. We've seen a big jump from some of his other players. I know Chet isn't there. We've seen him take the defensive load a lot of the time. I think he's averaging above 2 steals a game. He's playing really well. I don't know if he's one of the MVP candidates for me. He's attempting too many threes, first and foremost. He's attempting way too many threes. I think the good thing with Shai the past 2 seasons is he slowed down his 3-point attempts. I don't know if that's something that Mike Dagnall's trying to do, with their 5-out offense. I mean, they haven't even got Shai on the court, so they can't really have the 5-out offense. Maybe they're trying to overcompensate by having Shai shoot more threes. But I mean, he's not an elite 3-point shooter. He's a capable 3-point shooter. He can shoot the 3, but he isn't one of the. He's not going to set the world alight with his 3-point shooting. But I think he still played tremendous basketball, and he should definitely be an All-Star starter. At the second guard position, I have Waddell Stephen Curry. His numbers won't shoot off the page to you. He's averaging 23, 6, and 7. We round up round here. I mean, he's shooting 41% from 3 as well. We know he's the best shooter of all time. The Warriors, I think, are falling to either the 8th seed or the 7th seed, but the Western Conference is an incredibly tough conference to play in. I mean, you could be the 7th seed in the West, but somehow that makes you the 3rd seed in the East. It's crazy that people are in the playoffs right now, positions with losing records in the East. It's insane. He is must-see basketball. He is what you turn on the NBA to watch, and I think that Shaq has some merit with what he said, where he said everybody's trying to play like Steph, everyone's shooting threes, which is why people aren't watching the NBA. There's no real X factor in terms of a league-wide sense, where you tune in to LeBron because he does something so well. Specifically, his IQ is so good and he takes over the game so well. You tune into a Kevin Durant because his scoring is elite. You tune into a Stephen Curry because his shooting is an equalizer against any team. But if every team does that, you're only going to tune in for the best shooter ever. Do you know what I mean? So you have to create specialists, because right now the league is moving towards a place where everybody shoots threes, and there's no 7 seconds or less Suns, an outlier in that. There's no the Houston Rockets in the 2016 era. You know, there's no real team that does something completely different or player that does something completely different. That's why I think Anthony Edwards, if his stock continues to rise, if he continues to get better, he's one of the players, because his dunking is so emphatic and so good that he's one of those that could really take over in terms of a viewership perspective, because that's what he does. He does it better than anybody else, attacking the rim. So I think we just need to create superstars to bring back the TV ratings. But yeah, that's a different conversation. At the first forward position, I have Victor Wembanyama. I think he started the season pretty poorly. He was shooting way too many threes. I think he was shooting 22% from three. Now he's shooting 34%, which tells you how good he's been shooting over the past couple games. Just came off a pretty bad game last game against the Suns last night. But I mean, everyone's gonna have a bad game every once in a while. He's averaging 5 stocks a game. He's averaging obviously above 3 blocks per game. In my opinion, he's my defensive player of the year. I think he's averaging 24 and 10, something like that. I'm not even sure. Something around that 24 and 10 mark. He's a decent, capable passer. He's finally working with a point guard that's past his prime. Imagine if you get him at like a Trey Young or something. Molto bene, molto bene. That is not French. Très bien, très bien. Yeah, so Victor Wembanyama is an all-star for me. The other forward position, I have Anthony Davis. He's one of the 3 MVP candidates for me so far this season. He's averaging 27, 28, 12, and 3. Which is crazy. He's only making 1 and 3 a game, so it doesn't really matter what he's shooting. I think he's shooting like 35%, which is still pretty good. He's averaging 2 blocks a game. Great defensive player. One of the DPOY candidates, but I still think Wemby's a bit ahead of him. But yeah, the Lakers haven't been great. I think that's due to the other All-Star they have. Don't shoot the messenger. But I do think that the Lakers will bounce back. I think JJ Redick's working on some things, and I'll talk about that when we get to LBJ. But I think Anthony Davis, one of the 3 MVP candidates I have so far, probably 3rd, maybe? I don't know. 3rd? He's one of the 4. Let's say one of the 4 in the MVP race so far. There's 4 different people. At the last forward position, I have Nikola Jokic. For me, currently the MVP. If you look at the Nuggets with and without him, their numbers without him on the floor offensively are historically low. Their numbers with him on the court are historically high. And so to have one of the best offenses of all time when somebody's on the floor, and one of the worst of all time when someone's off the floor, is ridiculous. Tells you just how good Nikola Jokic actually is. I don't know what his offensive rating is himself, but I mean, he's averaging a triple-double right now. The Nuggets started fairly poorly, but they've come back and he's knocking down threes at 50%. I mean, he doesn't shoot a lot, but 50% from your center, who's also passing the ball, who you can't play off of because he's a great passer. If you play off of him, he's going to knock down that 3. He can attack inside. He's playing otherworldly basketball. I don't know, is he going to get his 4th MVP? Is this his 4th? Yeah, it'd be 2 in a row again. It'd be 2021, 2022, 2023 went to Embiid, and then 2024 went to him. So it'd be his 4th MVP in total, 2nd in a row. Is he going to get that? I don't know. But for me, he's the MVP right now. On the bench, I'd have Demetrius Jamel Moran. I think the Grizz are back. He's averaging like 22 and 9. Playing great basketball. He's a driving factor. On offense, he's amazing. He's really playing good defense as well, hustling as well. That's the thing that I have with a lot of these guards. They're starting to bring the hustle back towards, obviously leading up to today. I've been enjoying a lot of the hustle from players like Demetrius Jamel and Anthony Edwards, who we'll get to eventually. But yeah, I've been really impressed with him. I think his 3 hasn't been dropping, but I mean, his rim pressure is the true strength in his arsenal. The other guard I have is Luka Doncic. It could have been Kyrie because they were winning games and Kyrie was producing winning basketball, but Luka's come back and they've won a couple on the bounce. He's played really, really well, put up ridiculous numbers. That's what Luka does. He puts up ridiculous numbers. I love Kai. Maybe Kai makes the All-Star game. I don't know, but his numbers will falter off with Luka on the court. But hey, we love good basketball around here. My first forward is Alpi Şengün. I told you, man. The Houston Rockets are a dark horse. They're the 2 seed right now in a stacked West. The Houston Rockets are a dark horse. Jalen Green hasn't played amazing. He's played okay. Fred VanVleet's played pretty good, but Alperen Şengün is the best player on the Houston Rockets. The Turkish maestro, he's not even Jokic light anymore. He makes the right decision every single time. He doesn't just rely on his passing. His scoring is pretty good as well. He's a fantastic rebounder. His IQ is off the charts as well. And yeah, the amount he's settled, his level-headedness is something that a lot of players should aspire to be, especially with a player so young in Alpi. I mean, I know he's only averaging 19, 10 and 5, but that 19, 10 and 5 has them as the 2 seeds. Next, I have LeBron James as the other forward. LeBron isn't a star. He has to be a star. He's going to be a starter because people are going to vote for him. That's how it is. But LeBron James, although he's averaging like 22, 8 and 9, he hasn't played that well, in my opinion. I really enjoyed JJ Redick utilizing him in the post. I think that's something that Darvin Ham should have done, rather than look to see him be a run and gun player. I mean, LeBron's I think he's 40 like in 2 days. But I mean, he's playing decently well, pretty good. I think recently his 3 hasn't been falling, and I think his 3-point percentage will go down. I think it's like 34% right now. I think it will further go down because he's continued to take 3s when his 3 shot isn't falling. I think you need to make sure your other shots are falling before you start taking 3s. But I mean, LeBron's going to continue to be LeBron. What can I say? He's one of the greatest players ever. Can't say much. And the final player on the bench for the West, I have Kevin Durant. Just got injured the other day, last night against the Spurs. Only played 60 minutes, but he scored a bunch of points in those 60 minutes. He's one of the best players ever. We know what he is, one of the best scorers ever. The Suns have been alright, so I have to put in a Suns player. Kevin Durant is their best player. Played pretty good. For the first like 5 or 6 games, Kevin Durant was genuinely in MVP conversations. Now maybe fallen off a bit, and has missed a couple games, but I think he should still be an all-star right now. Wildcard number 1, James Harden. Didn't expect the Clippers to be this good, and he's averaging like 9 assists, I think. Didn't expect them to be like 9 and 22 and 9, something like that. Same numbers as Ja Morant. I think they're like the 5th seed as well, the Clippers. So really been impressed with James Harden. And the other one is Anthony Edwards. Has to make the all-star team. He's averaging like 27 points, but the Timberwolves aren't good right now. I think they're about 500 right now, and that isn't great. I mean, even the Spurs are 1 game above 500. The T-Wolves were the 3 seed last year, or the 2 seed. One of the two. They were one of the 2 seed or the 3 seed. So let's see. Now we move on to the East. The East. Disclaimer. No, you know what? Disclaimer can come later. First, at the guard position, we have Donovan Mitchell. Played really good. I think he's averaging 24. The Cavs have the best record in the NBA and need to have a starter on their team. Great scorer. He's probably a top 10 MVP candidate right now. Really been impressed with him. The backcourt that people said wouldn't work is working. Shout out Donovan Mitchell. The other guard position, I have Jalen Brunson. He's playing really well with the big bodega. Karl Anthony Towns averaging 25, 3 and 7. He's a winner. He makes one of the players that makes the right decision a lot of the time. He can take over games if you need him to, scoring wise. He can become a facilitator if his shot isn't falling. He can do both. That's the thing with Jalen Brunson. He can ultimately make the game revolve around him, and I love that for JB. Forward, one of the other MVP candidates, Jason Tatum. He's averaging. My forward, one of the other candidates for MVP, Jason Tatum, is averaging 28, I think, 28, 9 and 6, something like that. Jason Tatum is a great rebounder. I've told people that for years. People don't want to listen to his rebounding numbers because it's crazy that a player can average like 9 rebounds a game. Like, usually a forward his size averages 6, 7, and it's fine. He's averaging 9 rebounds a game, and he's done it past couple years as well. So we need to actually acknowledge that Jason Tatum, for a forward, is a pretty damn good rebounder. He's another winner. He's shooting 37% from 3, that's pretty decent, especially in a system where they shoot so many 3s as well. So 37% isn't bad. Happy with his performances so far. Has to be an all-star starter and could possibly be an MVP. That was my prediction. I don't know if you remember. My prediction for this season was Jason Tatum MVP. My other forward, I have Karl Anthony Towns, 2 New York Knicks players. Crazy. I like the New York Knicks. I don't know if you knew that. But he has played absolutely astounding. He's averaging 25, 13 and 3. His defense isn't there. I can acknowledge his interior defense isn't there. But since when has Carl Anthony Towns ever been a good defender? He played power forward last year, he's gone back to playing centre. So it's a bit higgledy-piggledy, you know what I mean? But I mean, offensively, he's shooting like 45% from 3, I think, from a player who shoots as many threes as him. It's crazy. He's genuinely on watch for 50, 40, 90. He's shooting like 87%, I think, from the free throw line, but he's shooting above 50% from the field and above 40% from 3. So Carl Anthony Towns, you really impressed me out there in New York, I won't lie to you. And my last forward on the starters for the East is my final MVP candidate, being Giannis Antetokounmpo. I couldn't have him in my MVP candidates before because they weren't playing great, the Milwaukee Bucks in general, but I mean, he's dragged them up. I think they're like the 5th seed or 6th seed. I think they're the 5th seed right now, and he's playing amazing. I think he's shooting 61% from the field, averaging 33, 12 and 7. Something ridiculous. Like, Giannis has really optimized his game and taken over. Like, truly fantastic stuff. And like, he doesn't shoot a lot of threes. I think he attempts 1 3 a game, which really helps his efficiency numbers. When in past years he might attempt a lot of bad shots. He might attempt a lot of 3-pointers. He knows what his game is. He knows he can take over. He knows he can win a chip with his strong suits. But yeah, moving on to the bench. Now we can say my disclaimer. My disclaimer is the bench is really bad. In terms of all-star quality, in terms of the quality we've seen before, the East is not good at all, and I'm really sorry for all the Western players that didn't make it. Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm sorry. DeMar DeRozan, I'm sorry. De'Aaron Fox, I'm sorry. There's a lot of players that could have made it but just haven't made it. I'm genuinely sorry. Like, if we want to look at defense, Draymond Green is one of the best defenders in the league right now. I'm sorry, bro. Just Julius Randle, I'm sorry. But the East is so much easier than the West. But we move on. The first guard position, I have Trae Young. Trae Young leading the league in assists, but he's shooting 39% from the field. There's no excuse for shooting 39% from the field. I don't care. But I mean, because he is the entire offense of the Atlanta Hawks, I have to accept it. Everything revolves around him. Everything goes through him. He's averaging, I think, 12 assists per game, which great numbers, but 39% from the field, Trae. Hey, Ice Trae, you're an all-star again.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
The other one is LaMelo Ball, who's averaging crazy numbers, by the way. Let me see. He is averaging 31, 5 and 7, but his shooting hasn't been good. The efficiency hasn't been there. He's averaging, I think, 5 turnovers a game as well. Bear in mind, I think Trae's averaging 5 as well. They're both averaging 5 turnovers a game. Now, it's worse for LaMelo Ball because he only averages 7 assists. But for a player like Trae Young, you still should be averaging less turnovers than 5 a game. 5 a game is when you're in the playoffs and it's literally one-on-one basketball. That is what 5 a game should be. Not all the time when you're shooting 39% from the field. It isn't good enough. But LaMelo Ball, still had a great season. The Hornets are obviously bad, as they are every single season. I expect them to be a little bit better with Brandon Miller and him. But, I mean, injuries stifled them a little bit. Miles Bridges was injured for a bit. I mean, let's see how the season progresses for them. My 3 forwards are Jaylen Brown, Jalen Johnson, and who was it? Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner first because I've been really impressed with him. He's averaging 24, 6 and 5. His 3-point shooting hasn't been that bad. I think he's shooting like 33% or 34%, something like that, which we know that Franz Wagner is historically not a great 3-point shooter. And the margin for the 3 seed, despite Paolo going down. Paolo's coming back soon, so I don't know if Franz Wagner will stay in my all-star list, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jaylen Brown, very quickly, averaging good numbers. Not shooting the best, 25, 6 and 4. Something not truly fantastic, but he's had good defense. He's part of one of the best teams in basketball. There's not a lot of other players I could have put in ahead of him. Jalen Johnson, finally, is my most improved player candidate. He's averaging 20 and 10. He's electric. He's so fun to watch. I only watch the Hawks for him. Literally, I'm to catch up on Zachary Rissache. I don't know how to say his name. But Jalen Johnson is most improved And I thought, because last season he was the most improved candidate before he went down, I thought, alright, cool, because he's already had his most improved year, he won't be able to come back and showcase another most improved year. And he's come straight back in and shown me he is the most improved player so far this season, and I've been really impressed. On to the wild cards very quickly. Pascal Siakam, Darius Garland. Darius Garland's playing alright. He's averaging 20 points, 7 assists and 2 rebounds a game. I mean, the Cavs are the best team in basketball. They deserve 2 All-Stars, so give them 2 All-Stars. He's having a good season. Yeah, not much to say. Pascal Siakam, the Pacers aren't having a good season. That's mainly down to Tyrese Halliburton. You're on fraud watch. Attack the rim. When you attack the rim, you had your best game this season, scored 30-something points, but you just like to sit back and shoot threes. You might like to do a little run and gun flashy pass to a player that's not even wide open to take the shot. That's why you don't get, your assist numbers aren't as high as they usually are. I don't know what's his issue. I don't know what's gone on with him, but Tyrese Halliburton, you have to get your head in the game. Even if you shoot less, I don't care. You have to get your assist numbers up to even come remotely near being an All-Star, because you haven't been good this season. You haven't been good since All-Star break last year. You were really good in the All-Star game, the beginning at least, and then you just haven't been good since. Pascal, yeah, played really well. Not much else to say. Damian Lillard maybe misses out, but fam, I don't know, innit? The East is rubbish. Anyways, people, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, like I said, and I'll see you, man, in a bit. Boom.